welcome back to my channel. We are in my pantry today because you guessed it, we're going a whole another couple weeks to a month without grocery shopping. My goal this time is to go one full month without grocery shopping. And I'm going to allow myself this time about a $20 to $30 budget a week to allow for milk and eggs and butter, and that's pretty much it. Maybe the occasional fresh produce, but other than that, that's it. We do have a Disney cruise coming up in a couple of weeks, so that's going to help with a couple of the days. But for the most part, I'm going to have a full month of no grocery shopping, maybe more, you never know. So let's get started and start with inventory, and then I'll have more recipes for you too. Okay, here is the pantry first. I need to work on organizing it, throwing out things that are no longer good, and then I can get all the inventory written down. And here is the current situation in the fridge. Don't have a ton of things on hand to start with, and I may have to pick up milk still. A little bit of cheese in my cheese drawer, and some veggies, celery, carrots, zucchini, cucumber, and ginger. And I don't have hardly anything down here in my little sauce packet drawer. I usually keep applesauce, but we don't have any. So lots of condiments though, so I don't think I'm gonna have any problems getting seasoning or sauces and things like that to dip. So pretty good start. Let's check the freezer. All right, so I do have lots of ice cream and desserts. This is the football-shaped pizza that I picked up last week. And the kids don't even like these. My husband wanted the kids to try them, so I don't even know if we're gonna eat those. But here's some of the frozen veggies I have on hand. I won't get into those until probably next week. And down here, I've got some fruit for smoothies, some bacon, some spinach, a couple pie crusts, more ice cream, some soft pretzels, some French toast, some pizza rolls, and ice cream down here. So let's check the outdoor freezer. All right, so in my outdoor freezer, this is usually where I keep the meats. I do have a couple of pounds of ground beef, some ground turkey, some chicken breasts. These are chicken wings, but they look like they might be freezer burnt, so I don't know if I'll be using that. I've got some Impossible sausage and some, I don't know what brand is this, Morningstar chorizo, which is it vegetarian? It's, yeah, veggie chorizo. And then I've got some udon noodles, some dino nuggets, some French bread pizzas. I do have some meats, but this one looks a little bit freezer burnt too. That was pulled pork. But I do know that I have some brisket as well, and a couple of pork shoulders down below. And I did pull a whole turkey out of the freezer, so this is defrosting in the outdoor fridge here. Not much on top. This soup I don't believe is any good anymore. It looks a little bit freezer burned, so I'll probably have to toss that. Should have eaten it, but then I've got a couple of pretzels here as well. Okay, first things first, I really got to take care of this pantry. The only thing I have time for right now is this little corner where I keep all the sprinkles and the things for baking. So I'm just going to get that done really quick before we head out for our errands for the day. All right, I got one corner down, and I have to work on the rest when we get back from our errands today. Oh my God, I can't believe it, out of all the people in the world. Okay, we just got done with our errands, and now we're gonna have a little treat at a restaurant. Just because I'm not grocery shopping doesn't mean we're not gonna have a few little takeout things here and there. So I'm not really gonna change a whole lot about that. But it is nice to be able to save some money on the grocery shopping so we can treat ourselves to some of these other things. So let's go inside. We're just going to have dessert and then awesome. Milk and coffee.
Milk and coffee?
Yeah.
Cream and sugar?
On the side, yeah. That would be great. And then we're going to do this.
Chocolate with it?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Do you want any caramel sauce or just the chocolate?
Just as it comes is fine.
Yeah.
A house? Where? When Sissy. When we come with Sissy, she can pick whatever she wants. She's gonna love this place. What? Oh my goodness. Wow.
Unfortunately, kids' cups and to-go cups.
We'll figure it out. Oh, bud.
There's 2 spoons right there for you.
Ready? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Look, it's in between the cake. Did you take the cake part off? Look at all that chocolate down there, the fudge. Good job. Okay, now we're back home and I am ready to tackle this entire pantry. It has been a really long time since I've actually organized this, probably before Christmas, and I did reorganize it maybe in December, but I've just been shopping, shopping the sales, and a couple new grocery stores open, and I've been just kind of trying some new things, and just things got really out of hand. So I did already take inventory before I organized this, and after organizing it, I found that some of the things that inventoried were actually expired. And so I'm going to have to take those off of the inventory, obviously. And then I also found quite a few things that I didn't realize were in there that I'm also going to be adding into the menu. So some things like a box of stuffing and some gravy from the holidays. I'm going to be making a whole turkey soon, this week actually, and I'm going to be able to add that for the sides as well. So just going through this and actually organizing before getting started on all this meal planning and whatnot really will help me figure out exactly what we have so I don't waste anything. So I highly recommend starting with that, organizing all your spaces as far as the kitchen goes, the pantry, the freezer, and the fridge. That way you don't miss anything. All right, so that is pretty much done, and that was quite a chore. But things are going to be a lot easier to see now that everything is kind of organized, sort of organized. As organized as a very full pantry could be, I suppose. So now I should be able to just find everything real easily and know exactly what we have on hand to make for the month. Now let's talk inventory. So if you're following along and you're also doing some sort of no grocery shopping challenge, then I should have quite a few recipes for you, but I want to let you know what I do have on hand so you can kind of know what to expect. I have a lot of rice, some beans, breadcrumbs, pancake mixes, lots of pasta, some diced tomatoes, tomato sauce, pasta sauce, lasagna noodles, clams, chestnuts, condensed milk. I also have sweet potatoes, yams, yellow onions, garlic, lots of ramen, some random taco shells and things like that, plus some sour cream butter, shredded cheddar, sliced cheddar, pepper jack, mozzarella, a bunch of cheeses, a few veggies in the fridge, some in the freezer as well, including corn, peas, mixed veggies, some spinach, cucumbers, some fruit, some pretzels, ground turkey, ground beef, a whole turkey, some brisket, some frozen pizza, and just a bunch of random frozen items, noodles and nuggets and things like that. So I'm definitely going to be covered for lunches, that's for sure. And the dinners are just going to take a little bit of planning to make sure that I use all of the perishable items first. I'm going to go ahead and pull out this turkey really quick so I can make that this week, because I can definitely utilize a lot of that turkey meat for a lot of recipes in the coming weeks. So I want to make sure I get that taken care of because I don't have a lot of other meats on hand. So far for the menu this week, I've got pho, Parmesan garlic chicken, stir fry, a whole turkey with roasted veggies, brisket, nachos, pizza rolls, and turkey pot pie. And so that is the plan for the week. As far as lunches go, I'm going to try to pull out some things from the freezer and just kind of make a lot of snacky things too. The first thing I'm going to do is go through these chicken pepper jack taquitos. I only have 2 left, so that's perfect for lunch. That'll clear a little bit of space on my freezer, and I'm going to feel a little bit accomplished there having that done. So that was for lunch. And for dinner this day, I made some pho. I just roasted and a whole onion and about a 2-inch piece of ginger over some fire to just get a little roasty. You can do this in the oven if you decide to make this recipe. My neighbor actually gave me this particular recipe. This is only the second time that I'm making pho, so it turned out really good, and if you want to try it, I highly recommend this one. So I put that whole onion and ginger and about 4 teaspoons of knorr, some salt, and some sugar and fish sauce into about 16 cups of water, which is about 4 liters or so. Gave that a good stir, and then I set that to boil and just let that kind of simmer until everything was melded together nicely. After that, I added the seasoning pack, which is just a bunch of the traditional seasonings that go into pho. So that's just a little pack there, and you just simmer on low for 20 minutes once you put that in, and remove that before you serve it. And I had some leftover chicken from takeout over the weekend, so I decided to add that into the soup as well. Again, just trying to use everything that we have on hand. So that really turned out well. And I also had some sprouts and some mint to add to the soup afterwards, as well as some rice noodles, which I just cooked for about 5 to 10 seconds in boiling water before adding them to the bowl, along with the sprouts as well. So it was a pretty easy dinner. I also had some seaweed and some rice, cucumbers, and avocados. So I did whip up a little bit of veggie sushi as well. And we did cook up some of the frozen gyoza that was in the freezer too. So it ended up being way too much food. And now we have leftovers for about 2 or 3 days for lunches. So I don't foresee us having to cook anything for lunch in the next couple of days. So luckily this dinner was pretty large and is going to take us through a couple of days. Before serving the dish, I also removed the onion and the ginger just for the ease of things, because I knew we were going to be putting this all in a container for the fridge with whatever we didn't use. So I don't know if you have to necessarily, but you certainly don't want to bite into that whole piece of ginger. So probably just remove it and set it aside. And you may be able to use that later for something else. I may be saving that onion to use as an aromatic for the turkey. It's in the fridge right now, so we'll see if I use that for that. And again, I just put those rice noodles in there, and I forgot to put the sprouts in at first. Started pouring the broth, and then I realized, oh, gotta put the sprouts in, because you want to pour the hot broth over the sprouts. And you could probably put them in after, but usually you just put them in there so you can just pour everything on top. And I also had some sriracha and hoisin on the side as well. So you can just add a little sweetness, a little bit of spice. You can also add a little bit more of the fish sauce if you like that flavor, just to, make it your own. And that's one thing that I love about pho is you can just really make it taste however you want it to taste. So this next night, I actually made a rosemary garlic cream sauce with pasta. So the first thing I needed to do was roast my garlic. So I just took an entire bulb of garlic and cut about a 1/2 inch off the top, then put it in a baking sheet and covered it with foil. I baked it for about 40 minutes or so at 400 degrees, and it turned out just perfect at that point. So I'd say 40 to 45 minutes is perfect. Then I went out to the garden and grabbed some rosemary and some thyme and just roughly chopped that. I'm going to strain it out later, but I feel like it gets more flavor when you chop it. And I grabbed some of my chicken breasts from the freezer and got those all thawed out. Got some salt, pepper, and paprika because I'm going to use one of these for tomorrow's stir fry. So I just wanted it to have basic seasoning on it. So I'm just going to throw that in the oven at 370 degrees. Well, 375 for about 45 minutes to an hour or so until the internal temperature, I need more coffee today, reaches 165 degrees on the inside. So I love baked chicken, especially after you take it out and you let it rest. The juices just stay in there and it makes it so nice and moist, and it's so easy to do. So that's what I did for the chicken. I did slice it after it was done as well. So here's that garlic. I'm going to start with the garlic as one of the things in the sauce. So I wanted to show you how lovely this looks after you take it out of the oven. Oh my goodness. You could just put that on bread or something. It would be amazing. So in a large stock pot, I melted just a little bit of butter. I'm going to have all the recipes in the comments for you so you can see exact measurements here. Then I added that rosemary and thyme to sort of fry these spices up and make them bloom. And then you can really just taste the flavors of that. I added the roasted garlic, sauteed that as well, and did that for about 5 minutes. Then I deglazed the pan with about 1/2 cup of chicken stock and just scraped off all the little bits off the bottom there to make sure I got all the flavors in there. And I let that reduce about 1/3 or so. That took maybe about 5 minutes or so. So just keep an eye on that, stir it occasionally just to make sure nothing really gets too overcooked or stuck or anything. Then just add the heavy cream followed by the milk, and this is equal parts here. So I did 16 ounces of each. Then I added some Dijon mustard, about 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. And then I added some salt, although I do think the salt is really optional here. I did about 1 teaspoon, but honestly, with the cheese and the chicken broth, I really don't know that I needed that much salt. Then I added some cayenne pepper and regular black pepper, stirred that up a bit, and just let that simmer for about 5 minutes or so until it got to a very low boil there, and just let that simmer and made sure it was all stirred occasionally so that way it didn't stick to the pan. Then I got some cornstarch, about 1.5 tablespoons, and I didn't have any Marsala wine, so I just used some white wine of Chardonnay. It was only about 1/4 cup or so, and I just mixed the cornstarch in with that and then slowly added that in and stirred it to combine. Then I brought that back to a boil and just had it on a low simmer for about 5 minutes to allow the sauce to really nicely thicken. And if you have Marsala wine, that's probably a good choice for this. It just adds that nice sweetness to it. So if you have that, maybe use that instead. But white wine is, a pretty good go-to for this sauce. Then I added the Parmesan cheese, about 1/2 cup at a time. This was freshly grated, but you probably could use the stuff that comes in a can, like the really finely grated stuff, and that would probably work just fine. Then I just stirred it in until it melted and it was combined, and that was pretty much it for this sauce. After it was all heated through, I did take a burr mixer or like a electric hand mixer, and I pureed it a little bit. If you have a blender, you could probably use that too, although this really isn't like 100% necessary. It just helps everything combine a little bit better and add all the flavors together. And then I also actually strained it so that way I could get a lot of those big chunks of herbs out of there, because just to me, a big bite of rosemary is not the nicest bit in the mouth. So I did strain this so that way it could have no little pieces of herbs in that. So again, that's kind of optional though. If you really don't feel like going through all of the, you know, the mess and all that, getting a strainer out and everything, you know, I understand. Just let me know how it goes with the herbs in there. I have not tried it with leaving the herbs in there. So just let me know if that works out, if that's an option that I could do next time. Let me know in the comments. And then I just added this back to the stock pot because I am going to actually add all of my ingredients in here and top it with some cheese and paprika and bake it under the broiler. It just adds another level of texture and flavors on top. It is amazing. I highly recommend doing that, although that is optional. So I had some rotini on hand. It was chickpea rotini, but you can use penne, rigatoni. I usually recommend something like that, maybe a bow tie even, something that will have the sauce sticking to it really nicely. So any pasta really will do though. And then I added that chicken that I sliced earlier and all back in, got it nice and mixed up and combined. And then again, I topped it with Parmesan. Funny enough, I actually used the stuff that comes in a can for this because I just feel like it gets really nice and crispy under the broiler. So I added that with a little bit of paprika on top. And again, these things are optional. So if you don't want to do a topping or you don't want to bake your dish, that's fine. And you know, it's all personal preference. You can just add cheese on at the end, whatever you like to do. But if you haven't tried it this way, I definitely recommend it. You could probably even do mozzarella cheese on top. I bet that would be tasty too, and just melt it. Oh my goodness. Now, the plan originally was for me to add spinach to this dish, and I completely forgot. And while eating it, I was pretty sad that I forgot because I feel like some spinach or some peas or some sort of veg in there would have been amazing. So if you have some veggies on hand that you want to add, do it. I bet it will be incredible. This is the final product here. I just served it and added some fresh parsley on top, and that was it. It was amazing. Stay tuned for more recipes for the rest of this month. I'll have them posted weekly for you. And if you like this video, please give me a little thumbs up and subscribe to see more and put on that little bell for notifications. Have a great day.